We are placed at such a unique place in the world that we can make a difference.
People want to see tough measures on crime, and people would exemplify tough measures to be hanging, a state of emergency. We have tried those before, and we have gotten into problems.
You can't catch Kwaku, you catch him short.
Maybe I turn up like a young boy in the school and not with that, and they with them scamming and them mafia business in a partial. Right now, I'm afraid I'm up here.
Seeing people dying left, right, and center, and making your efforts seem as though, they are nothing.
I'm living with a smile, but there's a scar behind it. Nobody wanna know me I feel.
Whole community feel mashed up.
The police is not here to stop crime. The police is here to catch the criminal who commit the crime. Who is it that must stop the crime? You or me?
The sounds of guns and the wailing of police sirens that follow continue to pierce the perception of paradise in Western Jamaica. It's a situation that has led many in the business, civic and political realms to question how the West was lost or how it will be won. St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover and Trelawney are the 4 parishes that make up the western section of the island. Those 4 parishes altogether account for 211 murders, or just over a third of the 585 that have been recorded on the island between January 1 and June 3. There were 165 murders for those parishes for the similar period last year. What has got the authorities worried is why one of the parishes, Hanover, has recorded 32 murders so far, which is twice the number for the same period last year. Westmoreland, 56, and St. James, 113, continue to roll in high numbers. Meanwhile, Trelawney, with 10 murders so far this year, is the safest parish. Or is it?
We need better policing in St. James. Very strategic policing.
The police say gang warfare and the deadly lottery scamming are behind much of the violence that has seen entire families wiped out, school children slaughtered, and nightlife curtailed as safety erodes.
You can't catch Kwaku, you catch him short. And sometimes the shirt just have to come from the community.
Okay.
You understand? So they'll just drive by in the community because Kwaku is from that community and they will shoot widely.
The authorities have tried responding. St. James is to be split into 2 police divisions and a base for the army is to be established out west. Plus, there has been much talk about fixing the problem of squatting that's also been said to be a breeding ground for criminals. Has the West been lost? Can the West be won? This is Light on Violence, a special Gleaner forum on crime. Watch the live stream at facebook.com/Gleaner Jamaica and at jamaica-gleaner.com. You may also join in the discussion on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter using the hashtag #LightOnViolence.
I'm Damian Mitchell. This evening we're coming to you live from Lucea in Hanover. Over the next 90 minutes, the problems, the prospects, and the proposals in the fight against crime in this western parish, which has seen a 100% increase in murders since the start of the year. To help us to assess the figures, we have the Superintendent Kirk Ricketts of the Area 1 Police. Deputy Superintendent of Police Sharon Beeput is the Divisional Commander for the Parish of Hanover. Courtney Hudson is the Vice Chairman of the Hanover Parish Development Committee, and Sergeant Kevin Watson is a member of the Police Area 1 Joint Task Force who has been a part of the team seeking to root out lottery scamming in Western Jamaica. Later, we'll be joined by Hanover's renowned businesswoman, Neris Hawthorne. So let's begin with you, DSP Beeput. What's the headache for Hanover at this point?
Well, the headache for Hanover Division, I would say, has to do with the gangs that is operating within the space. And there are 4 main gangs operating, which is the One Voice, the One Link, Ants Nest, and the 100 Rounds gang that is creating the problem here. With these gangs having conflicts with each other, that stemmed the problem presently.
So you have 32 murders up to a few days ago in Hanover. How many from what aspect of the parish?
I am looking at a figure that says 31. But of the number anyhow, the gangs would have contributed to 13 of the murders.
And there is a political division between Eastern and Western Hanover. Is there a concentration of the murders at one part of the parish?
Well, in Lucea area, we have about 12 of the murders presently. 12 in Lucea. And I think we have 8 in Kingsvale.
Let's turn then to Superintendent Kirk Ricketts. Generally, outside of the parish of Hanover, what's happening in the Area 1 police?
Well, Area 1 currently does face a problem as it relates to murders. But I just wanted to step back a little bit. You know, I noticed when you indicated that we had a 100% increase in murders in Hanover. And the divisional commander actually looked at me. And while any one murder is one murder too much, you know, but percentages tend to probably can sort of frighten and scare, you know, the populace. So in fact, you know, it's always good to indicate that we currently have the 31 murders and not 32. And we look at our figures on a daily basis. We're concerned that this is 31 murders, but we had a problem coming up last year. We had a gang situation in November going into December, and it followed us into January. I think representing ACP Clark here tonight, I think he has a lot of confidence in the divisional commander, who has been able to hold this frequency of incidents started in March. We have not seen the levels of violence since it started.
We want to come back to examine that in some more detail, but outside of the parish of Hanover, what else is happening in the Area 1 police, which is of concern to you at this point?
St. James continues to be of concern, and not just to the area, but to the country. It has a significant amount of murders now. Only this morning we had a flare-up in violence in the Barton community where 3 persons were murdered. So St. James is on the forefront of all the strategies that we're focusing on now, followed closely by Westmoreland, which has been, we saw some holding back of the numbers over the last couple of months. However, say about a week ago, we have seen some activities. The last murders we had would have been at the Gully Bank area beside the hospital. But again, the police and along with the military, you know, are working assiduously to try and to interdict the activities of these individuals. So for the area, St. James is a major concern, followed by Westmoreland, and of course with the a 100% increase in murders in Hanover, it will always be an issue for the
third ranked. Mr. Hudson, let's hear it from you. You sit on the parish development committee of this parish called Hanover. What's the concern of the PDC where violence and crime are concerned in this part of the world?
Good evening, everyone. For the PDC, we are concerned about the spike in murder within the parish. And since January, we had have a consultation with the stakeholders, which include the pastors, fraternal, the councillors, and the member of parliament, hoteliers at Round Hill, where we had an in-depth discussion on the issue of crime. After which, we decided to launch a pilot project within the Dias community, working with the Peace Management Corps, the pastors fraternal within the parish, along with the councillors, in order to see how best we can get a first-hand knowledge. What we did was that we had a walk to the various communities, talk to the various residents, get their feedback, after which the pastors fraternal kept 4 nights of service in the Dias and Kingsville area in order to assure the residents that they are not alone and other stakeholders in the parish.
But let me ask you, are the residents supporting the police, or is there the same fear that exists in so many other places where residents are not providing information to the police?
In terms of providing information, it is always difficult. Residents will always have their reserve about police in terms of that. And with the high rate of crime in these areas, it is difficult to get residents to come forward. But each resident has to be assured that they have a part to play in this whole issue of crime. And if they don't play their part, Hanover will not be the place that we want it to be.
Sergeant Kevin Watson, you have been known for your advocacy against the lottery scamming, which is said to be among the reasons driving fear and crime in this parish. What's the latest? Is there any at all, any decrease in the practice?
Well, let me just clearly point out that we have seen a decrease in the activities of lottery scamming. Scammers are not as flamboyant and so on. However, we cannot deny that what we are experiencing now is a sort of a residual effect of lottery scamming. These persons who are involved in gang activities have already purchased firearms and weapons to facilitate their criminal activities from the proceeds of lottery scamming. One of the other things that we have to bear in mind also is that because of the decrease in the activity, and it is not as lucrative as it once was, you find more internal conflicts going on, from the spoils. Meaning that the spoils from lottery scamming are no more valuable to the gang members because, it is not as prevalent. It has become scarce. The fight against lottery scamming has come a far way, and I believe that we have been able to suppress the activities somewhat.
But how do you measure your success in suppressing lottery scamming activities here?
Well, we look at, for example, the prevalence of the activities in terms of how flamboyant these persons are or were, and we look at the kind of evidence that we're able to retrieve on our operations as it relates to lottery scamming. We find that persons, in terms of acquiring things like lead list and so on, it is not as easy as it once was. We find that some persons will find new ways of concealing these kinds of evidence.
Which is exactly the point I was driving.
Right. However, I must point out that police officers, especially on the lottery scam task force, are trained to recover any kind of evidence stored in cyberspace. The new ways of concealing this kind of evidence also requires some technical skills that not, I would say, many lottery scammers have. Only a selected few would have these kinds of skills.
Let's expand it quickly because we want to go back to Superintendent Ricketts, but let's expand it outside of Hanover. The genesis of the lottery scamming was really St. James. Right. What's happening in St. James, which really was the fulcrum of the lottery scamming activities?
For St. James, we have seen a decrease. We have seen the same trend right across all parishes in Area 1. Let me be frank. Lottery scamming is a very small part of the problem. No. We have always had a gang problem in Jamaica. Lottery scamming in recent times have just contributed to facilitating the gang activities or making it easier for gang to progress their criminal agenda. However, what we're seeing right now in St. James and Hanover is really a continuation of gang violence, that we have seen over the last 10 years.
So then, Superintendent Pinnock, are we seeing an increase in your gang numbers or gang membership?
Well, do attribute, when you look at the murders that we have been having, we do attribute each murder, each incident of violence, whether it be a murder or a shooting. We look at each incident and we want to see, you know, if a gang would have contributed to such an occurrence. And we have seen a slight reduction in terms of the figures.
Of the membership of the gangs?
The number of murders that are attributed to gangs. We are currently somewhere in the region of over 50% though. But that could be as a result of the lack of information coming to us.
So you're saying 50% of the murders you're having in Area 1, you attribute to gangs?
To gangs.
Yes. So are we seeing where gang memberships are increasing, or are the number of gangs themselves increasing?
It's a little of both, because the gangs are fragmented. What we're seeing is that the more you move at the gangs, and if an individual is taken out by the police in terms of being arrested and put before the courts, we find that we have an internal issue within the gang where gang members now fight for whether or not the weapons which were left are for position, leadership position. So we find that one gang is now splitting into two gangs. So so you can say we're seeing an increase in the number of gangs. And then again, it's kind of hard in St. James because while in probably corporate area where the gangs are more organized, you look at in Kingston West where you'll have probably 4 major gangs, and it's not easy to just create another gang in a space like that where there's an iron fist kind of rule. In St. James, because of the latter scamming, where the money is a bit more fluid, you'll find that you'll have pockets of gangs.
So what numbers are you working with? How many gangs are you looking at in, let's say, St. James versus Hanover?
Well, it's a whole lot more in St. James than
we hear
Hanover.
there are 200 island-wide. Sergeant Watson, you can help here?
From my understanding, from my knowledge, I'm not aware of all the gangs in St. James, but I am aware of more than 30 gangs operating out of St. James. And as my superintendent alluded to the fact that, most of these gangs really came up through the proceeds by way of the proceeds from lottery scamming activities. And especially in St. James right now, you'll find that top-tier lottery scammers, these are the persons who have mastered the game of lottery scamming, as they would coin it. These persons are at the helm of these gangs. These persons facilitate these gangs. These are the persons, bringing in the money to support the gang members and their criminal activities. And we are seeing more of that now with these top-tier persons.
Mr. Hudson, are the members of your PDC concerned about the apparent explosion in crime here, particularly as it relates to the contribution of the lottery scammers?
Yes, we are concerned, and that is why, from the PDC standpoint, we are having initiatives with other stakeholders to see what role we can play socially.
How is it impacting them, though? How is it impacting the daily lives of your membership?
Well, recently when we walked through the community of Bells, residents were frightened that they were feared to go out to churches in the evenings, and they would have to make sure that they come and meet the children. Some of the extracurricular activities that the children would have participated in school, they have to cut that out and so on. So it has impacted the lives of the residents.
And are you still able to keep your meetings on schedule because of this fear?
Yeah, we do.
Of course, we'll be taking some of the responses from our audience or the members of our audience here in Lucea, Hanover, and we're also inviting you to continue to send us your comments on Facebook at Jamaica Gleaner, as well as Twitter and Instagram using the hashtag #LightOnViolence. So let's turn then back to DSP Sharon Beeput. We've heard the numbers of gangs operating in St. James. How many are you working with here in Hanover?
We are working with 4 presently. Those are the ones that are giving the problems. But just to go back a bit, to tell you what the police in Hanover has been doing to impact the gangs here. For the month of April, we would have taken in custody, arrested 10 persons from the different gangs. You have 4 from One Link, we had 2 from One Voice, and 4 from 100 Rounds. The month of May, we have taken in again 6 persons, 2 from One Link, 2 from One Voice, and 2 from 100 Rounds. So we are impacting the gangs presently. As a result of that, we have also recovered 12 firearms since the start of the year. We have 280 assaulted rounds and ammunition that have been seized. So the police in Hanover, we are working, and we are impacting the gangs presently. And also, we have been going through the communities and talking to other persons, but we need the communities to come on board with us because we are not getting that kind of response from them. And as usual, I do not know for what reason, but I know that there are instances that person might be saying they cannot trust the police. So as a result of that, most of the information is not coming forward, but we are doing a great job. The police are working in Hanover Division.
Here is Muna Hansen on Facebook. She says, crime fighting in Jamaica needs new interventions. Too many gruesome and senseless killings. Are you satisfied that the interventions are adequate for crime in your parish?
I would say so, but apparently we have waited for too long to get the intervention process going.
And when we speak of intervention, what are some of these examples?
The different agencies like PMI, SDC, all those agencies that work victim support. So now that we would have, they would have understand that crime is not just a policing problem, it is everybody's problem. So we are coming together. Recently we would have a meeting by the SDC office where the PMI team will now be working within the Hanover Division. We have used them also within the Kingsvale area to do a lot of counseling and reaching out to persons. And I think we will be getting that kind of support, and I'm sure we are expecting to get some results from it.
Yes. Mr. Hudson, you will be leaving us quite shortly, but what then is your appeal to your membership and the wider Hanover community?
The PDC is asking the residents of Hanover, and in particular, to assist the police in fighting crime. While we will be working with the Hanover Pastors Fraternal to asking them to open their doors to the various communities and to assist with counseling. Also, as Ms. Beepood said earlier, we're also working with the PMI. They were on tour the last time in this. We want to see that we can train residents within the communities to handle disputes. Sometimes some of these disputes would not be so fatal if there were persons there who could have mediated during the process, and so that we could have come to an amicable solution. And hence, we are assuring if all these agencies and bodies come together, then we are sure that Hanover will be a place of choice to live and do business in the near future.
Thank you so very much. That's Courtney Hansen, the Vice President of the Hudson, the Vice President of the Hanover Parish Development Committee. We'll take a break here on Light and Violence. When we come back, how crime is hampering sports and education in Hanover.